Afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this special edition of MLB Round the Bases at 2 p.m. Just let me explain to you that this show is being brought to you by Spanglish World Networks and Single TV channels 249 and 250. Reminding you that you can please go to the iOS and Apple's iOS and Android stores to look for the Singo application where you can download it and then view the great programming that Singo TV and Spanglish World Networks have to offer to you. Remember that those applications are completely free, so there is no reason why not to download them and enjoy them. Please also remember to go back to the store once you have had a chance to view the application and our programming, and let us know with a little bit of a rating and a comment what you like, what you dislike, what we can change, and what would make you feel happy to continue watching us. Singo TV can also be found through Google Chromecast, Apple, Amazon Fire and Amazon Fire TV sticks, Roku and Roku sticks, and on all smart TVs 2016 and forward. Well, with me today is none other than the candid one, Frank Stanishi. And we are going to look at today different stories in the baseball world. But just let me tell you, the change in programming happens to be because, as you know, the NHL playoffs are upon us, and it has driven our network to having to have a little bit more of coverage, considering that tonight is in the northern division of that NHL, a very special game between the Montreal Canadiens and the Toronto Maple Leafs. So it requires a deeper analysis of the game, and Mr. Stanishi and myself and Aaron William Freeland will be doing that for you this evening from 6 till 7 until game time comes knocking. So, welcome, Frank.
Thank you, sir. I'm just sitting here erasing some of the stuff that I had from our CFL show and trying to get redressed for baseball. And of course, as always, a pleasure. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. And let's have some fun talking baseball.
So, I want to start by looking at some of the interesting remarks that are brought by some of, let's say, some of the analysts that supposedly know the game better than I do, although I played it. But at the end of the day, they seem to know something I don't know, and they are analyzing the Blue Jays. And we'll start with that, talking about the wonderful things that have happened through the first 52 games of the season. They are talking about the lineup and some of its casualties along the way. And we know that the biggest casualty for the Blue Jays this season has been the $150 man, $150 million man that hasn't played yet, Mr. George Springer. So let's look at that scenario yet. It keeps reminding me of another ex-Blue Jay that was $180 million man by the name of Troy Tulowitzki that we are still paying for.
I apologize for my laughing, but it's difficult at best. We can sit here and talk about baseball in the context of money. It is a very lucrative sport. It provides us many opportunities to watch because there are so many games. 162 games is a long amount of games. And I guess I don't care how many games go to 7 innings, Eduardo, it's still going to be a long season.
Yeah, definitely. No, but you know what? It's funny with George Springer because he was supposed to be the resurrection of the Blue Jays, and yet we are paying for someone that we haven't seen on the field since spring training. He
You
played
know,
a
and he
total.
almost he played and then tweaked something. Ran to first and it was over. He's batting 1,000, I think, isn't he?
He's batting 970.
970. Okay. Pretty close to 1,000.
Yeah, but it's funny. But then we had, I think if you look at his hair, you dress him well. Now here is the resurrection of something incredible, and that his name is Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Like his dad, always with a smile, always playing his heart out. And so far, this year's production, it's absolutely ridiculous.
Anytime you can lead the majors in home runs is a good day for a young ball player.
For sure. Now, let's look at his average 323. His his slugging percentage is 634. His on base percentage is 430. How many players do you know at the young age of 22 that can have that production and and still at this point in day, you know, smile every all the way.
I think it's important, Eduardo, that we remember that this is a young man. We also remember this is a young man who is relieved. You know, he came into this season, Eduardo, understanding that he was a disappointment to himself last season. And most probably, I think he figured out a disappointment to the fans. Remember, this is a guy that came into Major League Baseball through the Toronto Blue Jays and their organization being the next one. You know, he did not sneak up to baseball. You know what I mean? He he came in and the expectations were enormous. And you know, he had some challenges. You know, he had a weight problem. I don't know whether he still has it. I wouldn't define it. I'm only repeating what, you know, what we've read, that he felt good about losing a lot of pounds before he came up this season. Is that a good thing? I think it is, especially we talked about the torrid pace of 162 games in a Major League Baseball season, all the traveling, and in some cases, the temptation not to eat right. You know, this kid, being a kid, not only is he bringing his ability that he had at the state that he had it, he had to perform in a way that he hasn't had a chance to, and he suffered like many rookies do. And then the lifestyle of being a Major League Baseball player, I can't imagine how tough that is. And then having a father who was really good. I mean, he has a lot of expectations and a lot of temptations to deal with.
So, you know, and I have, it's not that I'm biased because
You
of
are? I mean, no.
you know, I don't want to be biased in this situation, but I have to say that he's an example to a lot of young players that when you work hard, good things come out. And
Yes.
he went back to the Dominican Republic, and I'll tell you, winter, when you're in the Dominican Republic in the midst of winter, and you seeing all those wonderful barbecues and everything, it has to be hard. And for a Dominican kid that grew up eating his grandmother's food, because I have tasted his grandmother's food, uh, it's unreal how good it is. So I give him a lot of kudos because he had he came back to baseball this 40 pounds under his previous weight, and that is a lot of weight to lose in the process of about five months. So, uh, but let's look now at the other successes that those weren't expected, because we are talking about two pitching two pitching prospects. Well, not prospects, but two pitching guys. That one that was coming back from Tommy John surgery in Robbie Ray. The other one, Steven Matz, who came from the Mets and was a disaster there. And they turned out to be some of the best starters that we have on this staff. And thank God that Ryu is there, because he has given us consistency and excellence as well. But we don't have yet a core pitching staff that can consistently perform. We are asking of Steven Matz and Robbie Ray to do something that they weren't supposed to do, because they were supposed to be in the bullpen.
And a lot of that is due to injuries.
Yeah,
The Jays have been injured, and they have a lot of pitchers on the shelf. So, Major League pitching isn't you don't find it that easily. It's one of the hardest things to bring into a team. In fact, that's why a lot of teams have to concentrate and give up a lot of assets to get starting pitchers. So when pitchers go down, that's a tough road to hoe for any team.
yeah, no, but you know what? And I don't want to say I told you so, but 2 seasons ago, when the Jays brought up Nate Pearson and they started throwing him into games against the Yankees and Boston and the tough teams, not against the easy teams, they chose to start him with the New York Yankees at Yankee Stadium. I said, this is not looking very good for a young 21-year-old pitcher that doesn't have experience in the majors and is blowing out his arm. And if it was, and to have Tommy John surgery at the age of 21, because the organization didn't take care of him and rested him properly, this is what happens, that a guy like Ryu has to go work overload because he doesn't have a backup in that pitching staff.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to I don't want to say that it's all the fault of that, or of the management, but you have to start looking at uh, different ways.
Yeah, well, you know what? That's the bad news, and you also threw. Let's remember, you threw out the good news about Ray and Matz. Two pitchers that are doing what needs to be done and what you need them to do, that the team depends on. None of the success that the Jays have this year without Ryu happens. Ryu, to me, he's been a revelation, a revelation, yes. And he's even better than he was last year, which, I know how you feel about some of the trades and the disappointments, and Springer being one, that kind of thing. But this guy hasn't been a disappointment, Eduardo. And if you can get decent pitching, a decent starter, to me, he's the stopper. A
Oh
decent
yeah.
starter stops you on a roll, a bad roll, a losing streak. He keeps a winning streak going, and he's the glue of the staff. And Ryu has done his job. He's done more than his job. The Jays' success is mainly attributed to him.
So the other thing is that is going to happen this week, actually starting tomorrow, is that the Toronto Blue Jays are no longer in Florida. They will be coming up back to Salem Field in Buffalo, It's going to be a different way of looking at the game, from the short fences of Florida to the long fences of Buffalo, but yet still not as far as the fences at the Rogers Center. And that's going to we have to see how that change is going to take place, because the players were very homey at in you know batting well in Florida. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. We have to see how the pitching staff is going to react, and we'll see that. So let's move on to the major next thing with what's happening with the Blue Jays, because it's interesting what's going to happen this summer with the Tokyo Olympics. Remember that we are going to lose players from the roster as a result of the Olympic team, and amongst the players that are leaving Toronto, we have Anthony Goose, one of our players that is going to be leaving us. Familiar faces to the Jays. Matt Kemp will be as well going on that American team. We are going to lose one of our closers in Mark Rapinski as well. So it's going to be interesting, because we are going to lose some players from that are going to be traveling over to Tokyo, and we are going to see what happens in that moment. As well, let's remember that the Canadian players are also leaving. Some of our Canadian talent is leaving.
Absolutely, to play for Team Canada. And then, of course, Jose Batista.
El señor Jose Batista.
There's a name from the past.
So Jose Batista is an interesting story, because as I mentioned it a couple of weeks ago. Again, no one believed me, and he is going to be part of the Dominican Republic team.
Remember, a player.
Yep, but
a player.
But he's not going as a player. He's going as a pitcher.
I'm not laughing. I'm not laughing for any reason other than surprise. I am surprised, Eduardo. Has he ever been a guy that you knew to be a good pitcher?
So when he was in Toronto,
I apologize. I'm fixing my camera, Eduardo. My camera has decided to say goodnight.
Okay. No problem. Don't worry.
So you look at the sky for a little while and...
Yeah. So the funny part with Jose Batista is the following, that when he was with the Blue Jays, there were, during friendly competition between the players, he used to get up on the mound. And at some point in time, and I remember this because it was Gibby that always was joking around with Jose, and he said, I'll find a way to get you into that mound. And Gibby never did. And it's now the Dominican Republic that has adopted him and said, hey, you still have a strong arm. Let's see what you can do. So in exhibition matches that they've had in the Caribbean against other Caribbean teams, Jose Batista is 4-0 with a 1.05 ERA.
Who knew?
And struck out.
I didn't know.
and he has struck out 18 batters.
Who knew? Did you know? I didn't know. He has. I did. Do I remember him pitching? Was it him that pitched in a game that the Jays were way behind and they didn't want to use up any more pitching, and so they brought him in? Was it Bautista that pitched? I
No,
think I
that
remember.
was no, that wasn't Batista. They brought in they brought in oh, Kendrick Morales.
Okay, all right.
Kendricks.
Yeah, and
Kendrick
they've done it
Morales.
before, like in the '80s, they did it again. But I was just wondering about Bautista. Other than the fact that he had that long throw to the infield that we knew we could count on, that base runners wouldn't try and challenge him at second, and a great arm. He always had a great arm, and that's interesting. And now, so because of the rules, do they have a designated hitter in that?
No, in the
In the Olympics?
Olympics, there is no designated here. The pitcher actually bats.
So
So,
there you go. So he
so
will get the bat. He just won't play in the field.
yeah. But think about it. He can be brought in as the days that he doesn't pitch, he can actually
Pinch hit.
be a designated pinch hit,
or
or play
relieve.
first base.
Or relieve.
Yeah.
he, 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 he is literally the Swiss Army knife of baseball.
So think about this, because we are still in the window. The Olympics happen to be in June,
right?
For a month.
That's right.
Therefore, the August deadline is still not met in baseball. Could there be a possibility that to give him his farewell tour,
his play maybe gets him a contract?
The Jays give him a contract to finish his career as a Blue Jay.
Well, they are short on pitching.
Hey, it wouldn't be a bad.
Right, they're short on pitching.
A guy with a 105 ERA kind of helps the situation somehow.
Do you think so have they made peace? Because, his departure from baseball wasn't a good one. His departure from the Jays wasn't a good one. It had some strife in there. There was some unhappiness on both sides.
For sure.
Does the regime here because it's the same regime. This is the regime that basically, while they removed a lot of Blue Jays when they came in.
Well, they removed the two main guys.
Yes, and a few below. But yes, the two main guys, they did. That there's no animosity now because of that, and they both feel that. Have you heard anything that gives you the idea that there's interest in the Blue Jays to consider him? Is Montoyo? How's Montoyo's relationship? Does he know Bautista?
Montoyo knows Bautista very well.
You get my point, right? Because the manager has a lot to say, right?
In what goes on. I think that where this decision has to come is from the. It's more from the management side. I think that Mr. Shapiro has to make amends in this situation with Jose.
So he starts the conversation.
Yeah, he has to start a conversation. Jose is willing. He wants to retire as a Blue Jay because this is where he made his name. He still has a lot of.
The bat flip is the bat flip, right? I mean, he's etched into the history of the Toronto Blue Jays. And when you say Toronto Blue Jays, that moment is almost as big, I'm saying not as big, but almost as big as Joe Carter and the home run.
Yeah. Right? Well, and not just that, Frank. Let's look at this his involvement in the city still today. He has a charity tournament here, a golf tournament here in Toronto every single year since he left. He owns businesses in Toronto. So he spends 3 or 4 months in Toronto as a whole in the right now. So it would be a great way to say thank you very much. And we know that his numbers are almost there for whole look. So if he goes into the hole, it would be nice for him to go as a Blue Jay, not with from any other team.
Yeah, well, he is, he epitomizes that generation of success, right? He was at the center of the success that the Jays had when he was around, and they had some success. No World Series, but they made the playoffs and they made some noise in the playoffs. And of course, the bat flip is basically the hallmark of his career in Toronto, and of
Yeah.
course, the big games that he was a part of.
Well, with that, Frank, I want to thank you very much for joining me today. It was great talking baseball with you again.
It was a pleasure of mine.
And well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching MLB Round the Bases. We are looking forward to seeing you tonight on Live Talk with with Frank, myself, and Aaron Freeland. And until then, the only thing I have to say is that this show can be heard on the Spanglish Radio Network and its affiliates on social media. Remember to go to our website, SpanglishSportsWorld.com, for all the news. Great stories and great columns from hosts and columnists like Frank and others that make this network really great. And remember, Spanglish Sports World. Watch it, hear it, read it, download it, but especially live it, because Spanglish Sports World is sport, and sport is Spanglish Sports World. In the name of Frank Stanishi, my name is Eduardo Harari, and hopefully next week we'll have the gentleman that runs this show. His name is Jeremy Schooler, back again on the set for you, bring you all of the best of the MLB at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard. Until then, I bid you farewell and have a great, great evening.